Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Coldesina, and I'm the Manager of Travel Industry Accounts with Sports Travel and Tours. Thanks for joining us this evening. Before we get underway, there's just a couple of housekeeping items I want to take care of. First, whether you've joined by phone or you are listening to the audio through your desktop or laptop computer, your phone or your microphone has automatically been disabled, so you don't have to, or I should say muted, so you don't have to worry about inadvertently disturbing the presentation. Second, I will be answering questions, and the way we will facilitate that this evening is you can type in or chat in your question into the module or toolbar that would have come up on the screen when you logged into the presentation. At any point in time, please feel free to type in the question, but I'll be answering all of the questions at the end of the presentation. Also, there was an earlier version at of this webinar at 7 p.m. Either this version or the 7 p.m. version will be recorded. Well, both are being recorded, but depending on which one comes out best in terms of the audio and video quality, one of those will be posted, and then we will distribute the link via email. It's going to be posted to our Sports Travel and Tours YouTube channel. So if you didn't quite catch everything, or you just want to go back and watch the broadcast, within 24 to 36 hours, we will get that email link out to everyone. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and get underway. So many of you, this is going to be your first trip with us, and it may even be your first trip to Cooperstown. So I wanted to take just 30 to 60 seconds to give you a little bit of background on who we are and what we do. Sports Travel and Tours is in its 20th year of operation. We're actually celebrating our 20th anniversary on October 1st of this year. We offer fan travel packages to games and events all over North America and to select international events as well. We're best known for our baseball road trips, our pro and college football gridiron getaways, Hall of Fame travel packages, and the many classic events that we offer, such as the Kentucky Derby, U.S. Open tennis and golf, the Masters. We're even offering a baseball trip to Cuba this November. Our experience and attention to detail and customer service has enabled us over the years to have a return guest rate that is constantly above 60%. We've also partnered with great organizations such as the National Baseball Hall of Fame, which allow us to offer many exclusive features to select tours. Baseball is our most popular sport, and I wanted to highlight just probably one of our most popular programs besides the Baseball Hall of Fame Induction Weekend, and that's our baseball road trips. Baseball road trips are anywhere from 3 to 11 days in length. They travel the U.S. and Canada, seeing major league and minor league games. Along the way, we may visit museums, historical points of interest, local attractions, and wherever possible, we include guided tours of the ballparks we are visiting. We also allow some independent leisure time so you can explore a city on your own. This year, we have 3 different baseball road trips that include the Baseball Hall of Fame Induction Weekend in Cooperstown, as well as seeing games on the front end and the back end of the trip in various different cities. We have a trip that's starting out in Toronto and ending in Pittsburgh with the Induction Weekend in the middle. We also have a trip starting in Washington, D.C. and ending in Boston with the induction taking place around the middle of the trip, and then also another one starting in New York City and ending in Boston. Baseball fans do keep choosing Sports Travel and Tours because of the quality and detail that goes into our trip each year. As I mentioned, our trips give you the opportunity to see great games and great seats. We try to keep our hotels in centrally located areas so that you have time to explore the city and its surroundings. And most of our trips end up being point to point, so we don't waste time doubling back, which means less time driving and more time seeing and doing. About 14 years ago, based on customer feedback, we found that many of our customers had a desire to see all 30 major league parks sometime in their lifetime. So we put together our Stadium Hall of Fame and Passport to Baseball. So the first time that you travel with us, you receive this Passport to Baseball, and I think all of you should have received your document package by now that would have had one of the passports in. There's a page for each major league stadium. Each time you travel to a new stadium with us, we give you a sticker for your passport. After you've been to all 30 major league stadiums, we invite you to Cooperstown, Hall of Fame weekend in July, and we have an induction ceremony in the Baseball Hall of Fame. It's a great ending to could be several years or just a few years, depending on how long you take to see all 30 parks. We actually had a gentleman a couple years ago that did all 30 parks in one summer. And he blogged about it for us during his trip. So whether it's 2 years, 3 years, or 8 years, the Stadium Hall of Fame will be ready and waiting for you. Be sure when you're in Cooperstown at the Hall of Fame to check out the fan section on the 3rd floor of the Hall of Fame, and you'll see a copy of our original passport and some other memorabilia from Sports Travel and Tours that's on display. So each year in late July, tens of thousands of people descend upon the tiny hamlet of Cooperstown, New York to see baseball's greatest players honored by the National Baseball Hall of Fame. This year, Ken Griffey Jr. and Mike Piazza will be inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame the weekend of July 22nd through July 25th. This webinar will give you an overview of the weekend's activities and hopefully answer any questions that you might have. As I mentioned earlier, I'll answer all the questions that are typed in at the end of the webinar. And then also your tour host that you'll have on the trip with you should be able to answer any questions that you have as well. So let's go into our first day here on Friday, July 22nd. Now I know many of you, if you're coming from the West Coast, are probably coming in a day or two early just because of flight connections that don't permit getting in time for things starting on Friday afternoon. But if you've already checked in on Friday, great. If you are arriving on the 22nd, generally check-ins after 2 o'clock, although you might be able to check in and get your room prior to that. The first item on your itinerary, though, is meeting your tour host between 4:30 and 6 p.m. Depending on the hotel that you're staying at and the package that you're on, you'll either your tour host will either be set up with a table in the front lobby of the hotel or in one of the meetings or conference rooms. If the hotel you're at has the tour host set up in a meeting or conference room, there will be signage and directions in the lobby directing people to the proper location. After you've met your tour host, and at 6 p.m. to 7:30, all of the trips have a trip reception. Depending on your package, you'll either be at the Albany Marriott, Buca di Beppo, which is an Italian restaurant that serves meals family style, 205 on Wolf, which is part of the Radisson Albany Hotel, or at the Red Caboose Restaurant and Bar, which is in Oneonta. Some of the packages after the trip reception include the Ump's Eye View Sports Talk. This is from 8 to 9:30 p.m. and this is the extra innings, infield, and home run packages. Al Clark is a former Major League umpire who started in the American League in 1976, and then in 2000, when they merged both leagues' umpires, he finished in 2001 covering both leagues. Al has recently written a book called Out But Safe, A Baseball Umpire's Journey, and Al does about a 40-minute presentation followed by a 40 to 50-minute question and answer session. Al is an extremely fascinating individual, very personable, and has stories that are just incredible about his experiences in the major leagues. One of the things that you hopefully saw as it popped up on the screen was one of our lanyards. The lanyards, as well as a number of other items, will be given out when you meet your tour host on Friday afternoon. There's probably twice as much information and things that you'll receive once you arrive than you've already received with your documents. We just find that it's easier to not give put everything out in the mail just because some items may get lost, and just the incredible amount of information can be overwhelming, so we try to spread it out just a little bit. Okay, so Saturday morning, depending on the package, breakfast will be from 6 to 8:30 a.m. and once again, depending on your package, your motor coach will be departing for Cooperstown sometime between 7:45 and 8:30 a.m. with arrival in Cooperstown being between 9:10 a.m. and 9:45 a.m. Most of the first part of the day is going to be at leisure. You can explore the Hall of Fame, you can explore the Main Street area and all the other sites that there are in the small little village of Cooperstown. As I had mentioned earlier about the lanyard is really your entrance into the Hall of Fame. Although you will receive souvenir tickets for each day that you'll be at the Hall of Fame, it's really the lanyard that they know and that will be able to whisk you right into the Hall of Fame. And in just a minute, we'll show you the different entrances that you'll be able to use. Also, for some of the packages that include the artifact spotlight, and this is will be various times depending on which package you're on. The artifact spotlight meets in the bullpen theater in the Hall of Fame, and that is about a 45-minute presentation given by one of the curators of the Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. They bring out a number of artifacts that may be part of the permanent collection but not part of the permanent display collection. And usually when it's induction weekend like this, a number of the items are going to be relevant to the different members of the class of 2016. So it's a very interesting and fascinating 45 minutes. So don't miss it. Make sure that you've noted it on your itinerary or what time it starts, and I'll show you on the map in just a minute where the bullpen theater is. So later on, after the afternoon starts, the Hall of Fame Awards presentation is really the first itinerary item that everyone is participating in. The Hall of Fame Awards presentation takes place at Doubleday Field, which is about a block and a half down Main Street from the Hall of Fame, and that is where they award the Broadcast Journalism and Print Journalism Awards. It's approximately a 45-minute presentation. Then at 6 p.m. is the Parade of Legends. This is where all of the living returning Hall of Famers that have come back to Cooperstown for the weekend parade down Main Street in open-air vehicles, ending at the front doorstep of the Hall of Fame. After the Parade of Legends, you'll make your way to back to Doubleday Field from wherever you have been viewing the parade on Main Street, and the motor coaches will be departing at approximately 7:30. Because the town of Cooperstown is quite small, and because there are a number of motor coaches that are bringing people in and out of Cooperstown for this event, they stage the buses, bringing them in about 10 at a time, so it could take 25, 30 minutes, up to 45 minutes after the parade's over for everyone to get boarded onto the buses and the buses to depart. The way we do that is we have everybody meet at Doubleday Field. We wait in the grandstand area by motor coach, and then as the motor coaches come in, we start boarding the coaches. Okay, so this is a high-level view of Cooperstown. The first thing that you want to look at is find the yellow arrow, and that's pointing to the Baseball Hall of Fame. And this is approximately where the motor coaches will be dropping you off on Saturday morning. Now, there are 3 entrances that you can use. The first 2 are on Main Street, and I'll see if I can highlight them here for you. One second. So right here is the main entrance to the Hall of Fame. Now, don't be alarmed if when you get to the main entrance you see a long line of people. These are the people that didn't buy any type of package and are buying their entrance tickets to the Hall of Fame that morning. You don't have to wait in that line. Immediately to the left of the doorway that these people are waiting in line to get to is the VIP entrance, which in the 5 years that I've been going to the Hall of Fame has never had a line. So you go to the VIP entrance, you just flash your lanyard, you'll walk right in and you'll be ready to go. The other option is the green arrow. So right here, this is the library entrance. So when you were getting off the motor coach here at the yellow arrow, you can just kind of walk through this park area and come in to the library entrance. Also just show your lanyard. The purple arrow, if you can see the purple arrow, that represents, it's not the end of Main Street technically, but it's really kind of the end of Main Street that has any type of shops or points of interest that you'd want to see. The distance between the purple arrow and the yellow arrow is only 0.3 miles, so we're not talking about a particularly long distance. Now, the other arrow to pay attention to is the blue arrow, and the blue arrow, excuse me one second here. So the blue arrow is where Doubleday Field is, and that's where both the Hall of Fame Awards presentation is, and it's also where we will be meeting at the end of the Parade of Legends. Now this is just a slightly different map of Cooperstown. You can see the red dot where number 10 is. Somewhere between the black dot number 9 and the red dot number 10 is where the motor coaches will be dropping off. The black dot number 9 represents the Baseball Hall of Fame. And if you see the star on Main Street, during Saturday and Sunday, Sports Travel and Tours will have a tent or a booth set up where there will always be a few Sports Travel and Tours employees that can answer any questions that you might have. You'll also, and I'm not sure if it's been enclosed in the documents or if you'll receive it when you meet your tour host, you'll receive a business card that will have the name of your tour host and their cell phone number so that you can call or text at any point in time during the weekend if you have a question or a concern. There'll always be someone there to answer your question. There are a number of other things that aren't necessarily baseball related that could be of interest in the Cooperstown area, especially if maybe this is your second or third time to Cooperstown. Number 2 is the is the Farmers Museum, and number 1, which is kind of off screen, it's just up here to the right, is the Fenimore Art Museum. There is a trolley that goes around town. It's $2. You can ride it as many times as you want all day, and that way some of the longer walks will be quite enjoyable on the Cooperstown trolley. Now let's look at the floor plan for the Baseball Hall of Fame. We'll start off on the first floor, and I'll just point out a few highlights, and then we'll get into a little greater detail. So the blue arrow, there's 2 blue arrows. The first blue arrow on the left-hand side of the screen points towards the main entrance, where I told you that there's the main entrance that will have a line, and just to the left of it will be the VIP entrance. They're basically 2 doors that are right next to each other. The second blue arrow in the upper right-hand corner of the screen points towards the library entrance. There are 2 sets of restrooms on the first floor, one that's close to the main entrance and one that's close to the library entrance. Now, if we move to the second and third floors, there is 1 set of restrooms on both the second and the third floor. They're both in the same location. If you were just coming into the Hall of Fame, they're going to be in the back right corner on the second floor and the third floor. There are, let me just get the highlighting tool here. So coming up to the second floor, there is a stairway here, or escalators, or not escalators, excuse me, elevator that's approximately here. And then same way going up to the third floor. Now, the Hall of Fame suggests starting your visit on the second floor, and so I'm going to go through just the highlights of what's available to see. So on the second floor, once you come up the stairway or come out of the elevator, they suggest starting out in the Cooperstown room. Before starting the journey through baseball, the Cooperstown room examines the history of the Hall of Fame and the home of baseball. Next is Taking the Field, the 19th century. Featuring baseball's formative beginnings, it is an engaging interpretation of baseball's early years. The 20th century baseball timeline is next, and that's an exploration of baseball's history by generation. It details baseball's notable players, legendary teams, and historic moments. Next is Babe Ruth, his life and legend. This presents the story of the Sultan of Swat in scrapbook form, taking the visitor from Ruth's earliest days to his peak as a player and through his post-career life as one of America's most beloved figures. Next is Diamond Dreams, Women in Baseball. This space salutes the roles women have played in baseball at every level. Next is Pride and Passion. This details the history of African Americans from the Civil War through the major leagues and beyond. Next is Viva Baseball. Opened in 2009, this interactive exhibit is dedicated to baseball in the Caribbean Basin countries. Today's Game, this captures the memories and milestones from the last several years. It features a locker containing recent artifacts from each of the 30 major league teams, plus a display with items from the most recent baseball season. Next is Diamond Mines. This tells the story of baseball scouts. Our online scouting exhibit includes images and artifacts from the museum, as well as extensive database of information, including scanned historic scouting reports. Next, move up to the third floor. Start out in Sacred Ground. This examines ballparks of the past and the present and takes a look at America's cathedrals of the game. Next is the Hank Aaron Chasing the Dream. This was recently, dedicated in 2009, but it chronicles Aaron's life from childhood through his big league career and post-baseball activities. One for the Books. Records hold a special place in the hearts and minds of baseball fans. One for the Books delves into stories behind these historic events and gives visitors an interactive look at the national pastime's most indelible moments. Next is Autumn Glory, postseason celebration. You can view artifacts from the most recent World Series. You can see championship rings throughout the years, and there's an interactive video display where you can see different highlights from World Series moments. Picturing America's Pastime. This is a temporary exhibit. The museum preserves the historic link between photography and baseball with more than 250,000 original photographs from the museum's photo archive. Next is the New Face of Baseball. This is also a temporary exhibit, and this exhibit features the American baseball photographs of internationally acclaimed Cuban photojournalist Osvaldo Salas. This highlights the new face of Major League Baseball in the decade following integration. The exhibition celebrates the influx of Latin and African American players into the game after Jackie Robinson's breaking of the color barrier in 1947. Then it suggests moving back down to the first floor where we have the art of baseball. The sport is an inspiration for many creative outlets, some of which have made their way to Cooperstown. One thing to note is to see the Andy Warhol portrait of Tom Seaver that's on display. Next, probably the highlight for many people is the Hall of Fame Plaque Gallery. This is where all the bronze plaques for more than 300 Hall of Famers are housed. For those that are staying on Monday, Ken Griffey Jr. and Mike Piazza's plaque will be up in the Hall of Fame Plaque Gallery by approximately 9 a.m. on Monday morning. Next is Baseball at the Movies. Hollywood's fascination with baseball has been captured in hundreds of films, and many of these clips are on display at this location. And then last is Scribes and Mikemen. This honors the greatest journalists to broadcast and write about the national pastime. It also houses the award winners for the Ford C. Frick Award, given annually for broadcasting excellence, and the J.G. Taylor Spink Award, presented annually for meritorious contributions to baseball writing. So over the years, we've compiled a list of several suggestions by our tour hosts that might add to your Cooperstown experience. I pointed out earlier where the restrooms were located, which has always been something that people ask about because when there's a lot of people in the hall, it's not easy to see some of the signage. Also, there are two gift shops in the hall, both on the first floor. The larger of the two gift shops, which is considerably larger than the second, is close to the main entrance, and if you're following the progression of the tour as I went over it, going from second to third and then back down to the first floor, once you come through the plaque gallery, then you'll be almost right in front of the main gift shop. Also, there's plenty of dining opportunities in and around Cooperstown in the Main Street area. There's also a lovely park, lakefront park, right in front of Otsego Lake. For those of you that aren't familiar with Otsego Lake, it is the headwaters for the Susquehanna River. There's many park benches, so if you want to grab a sandwich and walk about a block from the Hall of Fame to just relax and watch the boats on the lake, it's a very great experience. Also, there is a lakefront hotel and restaurant, which is a great place to grab a bite to eat during the afternoon. There will also be several vendors set up along Main Street, and I will mention that Main Street will be closed to vehicular traffic during the weekend. So there's also going to be lots of street vendors where you can pick up something to eat along the way. A couple of the restaurants to note, there's great sandwiches at Danny's Market, which is on Main Street. Then there's the Cooperstown Diner. It's small, but very good food. Seats just about 20 people. Also, the Doubleday Cafe is on Main Street. And then there's the Cooperstown Back Alley Grill, which is between Pioneer and Fair, just north of the Hall of Fame. And this is just a fraction of the number of restaurants that are available within that 3-block radius close to the Hall of Fame. So moving now to Sunday. So Sunday, breakfast will be between 6 and 8:30 a.m., depending on the package that you're on. And departures for Cooperstown will take place between 7:45 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. So please consult your itinerary. We should be arriving at the Clark Sports Center, which is about just under 1 mile from the Hall of Fame on Main Street. We'll be arriving between 9:10 a.m. and 9:45 a.m., depending on what time, what package you're on. Once there, you can make your way to your seating. All of our packages either have reserved seating either in the VIP section or the general admission section, but all packages do have reserved seating, so you don't have to worry about there not being a seat for you. The packages that have VIP seating are going to be the infield, the home run, and the grand slam packages. Once you're at the induction site, there are free shuttles that will take you back up to the Main Street area, and they run to the Hall of Fame up until approximately 12:30, and then the last shuttle coming back to the Clark Sports Center leaves at 1 p.m. It is possible to walk between the two. If you're coming back from the Hall of Fame towards the Clark Sports Center, it's all slightly downhill, and I did say it's just about a mile. It's like 0.9 miles, so it's not a bad walk. And we'll show you here on where it's located. So let me get the highlighter back again. Okay, so right here is where the Hall of Fame is. Here's where Doubleday Field is, and then this yellow arrow pointing to the yellow star is the Clark Sports Center. The field right here is where the induction takes place. The tenting that you saw on the previous slide is right at about this location right here. If you want, like I said, if you wanted to walk, the easiest way from the Hall of Fame would be to walk north from the walk south from the Hall of Fame down Fair Street, make a right on Beaver Street, and then a left on Susquehanna Avenue. If you're further up Main Street, you can come down Chestnut, make a left on Susquehanna, and then continue walking down to the induction site. Move on here. So the induction ceremony begins at 1:30. There's not a set end time, so it really depends on how long the two inductees, Ken Griffey Jr. and Mike Piazza, take during their acceptance speech, but we expect that it'll run approximately 2.5 hours. Once the induction ceremony is over, the motor coaches should be parked approximately 300 yards away at the induction site. The only way they would not be parked at the induction site is if the weather in the previous days has been wet enough where they cannot park them in the field. Then they would have to park off-site and come back in once the induction ceremony is over. There are plenty of restrooms at the induction site on both sides of the seating areas. There's also food for purchase. I believe the local high school uses this as their fundraiser each year, and the prices are very reasonable, much less than you would expect at a ball game, so very reasonable. As soon as the induction ceremony is over and we make our way back to the coaches, we will have boxed lunches available for everyone on the motor coach. Also, cold water will be available as well, and it will be approximately up to a 30-35 minute wait by the time we board the coaches before the Hall of Fame officials release the coaches to depart back for Albany. They like to make sure that the roadway is clear and that the 3 or 4 motor coaches that have all of the inductees, family, friends, and dignitaries from the Hall of Fame have been able to leave first. For those of you that your package ends on Sunday evening, what you will need to do on Sunday morning is check out of the hotel. If you if you've driven into Cooperstown and you're not going to be flying out that evening, you can either leave your bags in your car. You can leave the bags at the bell desk, or if you'd like, you can take them and we can put them on the motor coach, and then the motor coach will be leaving the induction site and going straight to Albany Airport to drop off anyone that has flights that evening, and then going back to the hotel. The time between the airport and the hotel is probably no more than a 5-minute drive. I think all of the hotels we're using are about 2.5 to 3 miles away from the Albany Airport, so it won't be a great amount of time between arriving at the airport and then getting to the hotel. For those of you that are staying on till Monday, your motor coaches will go directly back to the hotel from the induction site on Sunday evening. Okay, for those packages that include Monday, breakfast is from 6 to 8:10 a.m. depending on your package, and then check out and depart the hotel between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. with arrivals in Cooperstown being by 9:30 a.m. The Legends of the Game Roundtable starts at 10:30 a.m. and this is at Doubleday Field, which is about a block and a half down Main Street from the Hall of Fame. After the Legends of the Game Roundtable, which lasts approximately 45 to 50 minutes, you'll have the rest of the day at leisure till approximately 2 to 2:30 p.m. depending on your package. For those of you that are staying on till Monday and are not quite sure what the Legends of the Game Roundtable is, this is a question and answer session with the class of 2016 that's hosted by a moderator. Generally, the moderator is someone either from MLB Network, from the Baseball Hall of Fame, or from ESPN. I have not seen that they've announced who that moderator will be, but it's usually a known entity. Same thing goes for departure from Cooperstown on Monday as it did on Sunday. We will head straight to the airport if you are on the home run package or the extra innings package, and then go to the hotel. If you're on the Grand Slam package, we will actually go to the hotel in Oneonta first, then we will go to the airport. So that concludes our Hall of Fame weekend. I do see that a number of questions have come in, so bear with me as I pull up the question module and start going through the questions. What I will do is put my contact information up on the screen, so please feel free to take this down. If you have any questions you'd like to reach out to me later by email or by phone, please don't hesitate. The one thing I just noticed that's not there is my extension. I am extension 318, so you can dial either the 1-800 number or the 413 number. When you're prompted, put in extension 318 and it'll go directly to me. Okay, so the first question is, which theater is the Hall of Fame Museum, in the Hall of Fame Museum is currently closed? That is the Grandstand Theater, which is on the 2nd floor. When do you anticipate we receive the packets? I know the packets started sending out last week and possibly yesterday. So if you have not received your packets by tomorrow, I would definitely give us a call, because I know we send them out 2-day FedEx. I think the last packets went out on Monday and then should be arriving tomorrow if they were sent 2-day FedEx. Next question is, do all the motor coaches have bathrooms? And yes, they do. Next question, is there a team-specific map you can get at the Hall of Fame to see all items currently on display for that team? Not that I'm aware of. The one thing that I will point out is, in fact, let me try to go back to the map here. Give me 2 seconds. So on the 2nd floor, in let's see, where it says I think it's in where it's the game. So it's somewhere in. Let me bring the highlighter back for you. Somewhere right in this area, as we get to the end of the game and we get closer to current day, on display. Oh, here we go. Here it is. Today's game. So in this area right here, there is a it looks like a nice large locker room, and there's 30 lockers, one for each team. And so each team will have a number of different things on display. There's going to be, there's going to be a jersey, there's going to be equipment, there's going to be spikes, you name it. It's full of items, and it's all from current players from that team. And then also on display are a number of things that are pertinent to the most recent season in baseball. All right, so let me go back to the final screen here. Bear with me 1 second again. Okay, so the next question is, do you have an app? We do not have an app. I don't know if the Baseball Hall of Fame has an app. We do have a Twitter page, and we do have a Facebook page and a YouTube channel. So please find those and like us on Twitter, Facebook, and visit our YouTube channel. In fact, I think I did mention at the beginning that there will be a copy of this presentation on the YouTube channel within the next 24 to 36 hours. Okay, what is the policy for backpacks, bags at the various venues? Not a problem at the induction site. Bags still are permitted in the Hall of Fame, but they will do a cursory check of your bag when you're coming in. And let's see if there's any, hold on, I've got to scroll down here. Oh, I know someone did have a question about, I'd made reference to a Cuba baseball trip. So we do have a baseball trip to Cuba that is November 5th through 12th. It includes round-trip air from Miami to Havana. It includes all of your one hotel night in Miami and I believe 6 hotel nights in Havana. It includes all your breakfasts, all your lunches, about half of your dinners, and we are seeing three different baseball games, as well as doing a lot of cultural events, cultural visits, and trying to do as many face-to-face meetings with people related to baseball. So we'll be talking to baseball officials from their various different leagues at different levels of play. We'll be meeting with baseball historians that cover the game in Cuba, and we'll also be meeting with some of the youth baseball officials that talk about how they bring talented youth up into their major leagues. And it looks like we've got another question or two that have come in. Can the bags and/or backpacks contain food or water? Technically, I believe you can't bring water in if, like, in an open type container, or if it's on the outside. I usually always have a couple of bottles of water inside my backpack, and I think as long as it's inside, they're not going to have a problem with that. Food, though, I believe is not permitted. Open food is not permitted in the Hall of Fame. My guess is that if it's wrapped and in the backpack, and as long as you don't bring it out and start eating it in the Hall of Fame, there won't be an issue. And then the last question is, video recording for personal usage is acceptable at the induction ceremony? Absolutely. I record different segments of it every year, and also within the Hall of Fame as well, it's permitted. I believe inside the Hall of Fame, though, they ask you to not use any flash photography. Okay, I don't see any more questions at this point. I do thank you, though, for taking time out of your evening to join us. Please, as I said before, take down my information. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. For many of you, if any of you are on one of the extra innings packages, I will be your host along with Dan Schlossberg, so look forward to meeting you. But I also will be staffing at different times during Saturday the information booth that we'll have near the Doubleday Field, so please take a moment to drop by and say hi. But thanks for joining us, and have a great day.